Hey fam, I want you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications. All right, y'all, Chicago. They say they're going to sue Empire actor Jussie Smollett, saying that he cost the city of Chicago $130,000 because of all that time Chicago cops spent investigating his case that they say was a hoax. His lawyer, Mark Garrigo, said if the city followed through on its threat, he will depose Mayor Rahm Emanuel and Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson. Incoming Mayor Lori Lightfoot was asked the day after she won. She said Smollett must be held accountable. Now you got a group of suburban police chiefs who joined with the Chicago Fraternal Order of Police to give Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx a vote of no confidence. Really? That's what y'all did? Fraternal Order of Police President Kevin Graham stood with some 30 suburban police leaders and called on Foxx to resign. And of course, Cook County encompasses Chicago and a number of other suburban towns. Now, this is what I find to be real interesting, y'all. 30 chiefs come together to say Kim Foxx needs to quit. I have spent time today looking on social media for any evidence of those same chiefs coming together and condemning Chicago having to pay more than $700 million since 2004 for police misconduct cases. I haven't found one statement. In fact, I was looking for a statement from the Chicago Fraternal Order of Police and these 30 police chiefs when a judge in Chicago busted several cops who knowingly, willingly, and unabashedly sat on the witness stand and lied in his courtroom, sent those claims to the Police Review Board, and said they got to be investigated. I do not recall a single statement from any of these police chiefs. In fact, Dante Servin was a cop who was off duty, who saw some black folks talking and arguing. He interceded, escalated the situation, pulled his gun out, shot Rakia Boyd in the head, kills her. The former state's attorney charges him. They go to court. Judge says, gave the wrong charge. He walked free. I do not recall any of these police chiefs saying a word. In fact, when the Department of Justice came into Chicago and interviewed cops, and cops admitted calling suspects nigger, and cops admitted dropping off gang members in rival gang territory, I do not recall any of these chiefs or the Fraternal Order of Police saying a damn thing. In fact, when it was discovered that Chicago had their own Guantanamo Bay on Holman Street,
right,
where they had a facility where they would take people who were arrested and they would not enter the information into the police system. So when the family would hire a lawyer and the lawyer would go to the police department and say, where's so-and-so? They would say, we don't know what you're talking about, because they had no record of them in the system because they were being held at the Holman Street location. I do not recall these 30 police chiefs holding a news conference. And the last point, the city of Chicago had to pay more than $40 million in reparations to black men who were beaten and abused, who went to prison, some were on death row, because former Commander John Burge used Vietnam War era tactics, torture tactics against them, beating them with phone books, attaching batteries and cables to their genitals and shocking them. Cost the city millions to defend him, I don't recall any of these chiefs coming together and condemning John Burge. But Jussie got y'all so hot and bothered that y'all literally want Kim Foxx to step down and resign. Let's just be real clear. We know exactly what's going on right now. Joining us is Cheryl Dorsey, a retired LAPD sergeant and a member of the National Coalition of Law Enforcement Officers for Justice. And she's also the author of a book. I'll have it in a second. Cheryl, to say I'm pissed at these trifling ass cops for doing what they're doing, they say nothing about any of that. But this black woman got these folks just upset because of Jussie.
Well, you know, I trademarked a term that I normally use when there's a use of deadly force, and I call it contempt of cop. And by contempt of cop, what I mean is if you piss one off, there's a price to pay. Usually it ends up in deadly force, right? Like Eric Garner, he pissed him off, they choked him to death. Like Mike Brown, you know, he didn't get out of the street, they shot and killed him. And so now they're butthurt in Chicago. They are pissed off with Jussie about this whole situation. And so they are not letting this stuff go. They are going to ride this thing until the wheels fall off. It would be nice to see that kind of excitement and enthusiasm behind everything that went on around the Laquan McDonald shooting and all of the officers who were co-conspirators, if you will, in falsifying what happened that night. And they went to court and they were all found not guilty. They misused and abused the female officer who spoke truthfully about what those officers were engaged in. And so you don't see that appetite. And listen, police chiefs do what police chiefs do. Their job and their obligation is to protect that entity, that organization. And so that's what they're doing. They're circling the wagons and they're protecting the organization.
And what's interesting here is that, again, we're talking about a case that, let's just be honest, if it had actually gone to trial, he wasn't going to jail. He wasn't going to go to jail. And so they are making this mountain out of a molehill. And what do you make of the incoming black female mayor who says he has to pay for this? It's justice. And you're going, really, Lori Lightfoot? You got a pension problem? You got an education problem? You got a police misconduct problem? You got all kinds of problems, and you really trying to take your stand on Jussie.
Well, you know, I think there's a symbiotic relationship amongst all those people involved. The mayor, you know, understand that generally police chiefs serve at the pleasure of the mayor. I'm not sure if in Chicago the commissioner, the superintendent serves at the pleasure of the mayor. But they're all in concert. They're all in bed together. They all speak the same code talk. And so why they would want to die on this hill is beyond me. Well, I mean, you know why, because, you know, Jussie looks like me, right? If he looked like, you know, somebody else, then I don't think that they would have the same angst about, like you said, he's not going to go to jail. He's not a criminal. He's not likely to offend again. This would not be anything unlike what would be done for someone who doesn't look like me. Behind the scenes, they'd work out a deal, and then you'd be on your way. But because they are butthurt, because he had the temerity to not go along to get along, then they're going to fix him. This is about punishment. The same kind of punishment we see police officers met out to black folks who don't comply.
Well, I just think it's interesting to listen to these chiefs again hold their conference and so public, and the fact that 30 of them would do this shows the level of ignorance that you're seeing there. And you're right, they said nothing when Rahm Emanuel held that Laquan McDonald tape for 13 months. They have said nothing when cops have literally lied on reports and on the witness stand as well. And that's why I discount all of them, because they're utterly irrelevant. Cheryl, your last comment.
Well, you know, I say that problems that go on police departments are institutional, they're systemic, and they're top down. And we have evidence of 30 police chiefs who think the way that they do. And so it explains exactly why police officers think and act the way that they do.
All right, folks. Cheryl Dorsey, again, retired LAPD sergeant, member of the National Coalition of Law Enforcement Officers in Justice. And Cheryl, give folks your book.
I couldn't really hear all of what you said, but I think if you're asking me about my book, it's called Black and Blue, The Creation of a Social Advocate, and it's available on my website, www.sgtcheryldorsey.com.
All right, Cheryl, we certainly appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. All right, I'm going to introduce my panel now. Barbara Arnwine, she's the founder of the Transformative Justice Coalition. Also, Eugene Craig, CEO, Eugene Craig Organization. Teresa Lundy, founder, TML Communications. And Cheryl said the cops, they butt hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. Big time. You know, it's not just Chicago, right? It's also Suffolk County, Boston, Massachusetts, where they filed a petition to the Supreme Court, the Supreme Judicial Council of Massachusetts, to have this newly elected prosecutor disbarred, because she said she wasn't going to pursue all these stupid misdemeanor crimes. She wasn't going to keep incarcerating people. So they filed a complaint to disbar her.
Isn't she black?
Yes.
No.
Rachel
I'm
Rollins.
just saying.
Rachel Rollins. This is no different than what they did to Craster. Larry Krasner.
Well, but also Marilyn Mosby in Baltimore,
Exactly.
Aramis Ayala in Florida as well.
Everywhere.
2 black women.
Everywhere. If you say that you're not down with the program of just incarcerating black people, Roland, and putting black people in jail, if that's not your game, then they don't want you. And they will do anything to take you down. Lightfoot, wake up, my sister. Your city got one of the biggest problems going on in the entire country. Think about this, Roland. The out-migration. Black folks are leaving Chicago like crazy because they don't like the fact that the administration is not responsive to them, no jobs, nothing going on. So they've been leaving. So that you need to make your #1 priority.
Eugene, I just think it's just laughable.
I think it's laughable, too. I think these police chiefs are trash. FOP we know has been trash. I mean, that's nothing new.
That's for sure.
We've dealt with the trash and these other trashes, FOP in Baltimore City. But you know what? I'm gonna tell you what I really think. I think Jussie Smollett should, probably raise, $3 or $4 million, and over the next cycle, next 2 to 4 years, drop into the super PAC and target every last one of their bosses, the mayors, the county councils, the city councils, change that entire dynamic and get all these trash ass police chiefs up out of here.
So you're saying take it to the election?
Teresa?
At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to.
Right.
Teresa?
So I think we all on this panel represent, from Baltimore to where are you from?
Oh, I'm in Maryland. I'm in good old PG.
Okay, and I'm
ahead.
in Philadelphia, and then the case at hand is in Chicago, right? So what is one thing they have in common? So like you said before, when you said District Attorney Larry Krasner, the relationship that him and the Philadelphia FOP is beyond intense. The only way he is winning right now.
They threatened to hurt him, remember?
Yes, I do.
They threatened to hurt him.
And so the only way he is actually winning with some of those criminal justice reforms that's actually working for African Americans and minorities and immigrants is because of the advocacy groups around it, right? So with this new prosecutor in Chicago, yes, the factor is because your African American woman won. But when you say you are not playing ball and you are not locking up more people that's going to put more money into their pension system, that's where that's where the issues happen. And so I really do hope that some of those local organizations, we just had the National Action Network, right? They have a chapter in Chicago. I'm hoping they actually step up and step out and step for her.
Well, good. Well, first, again, it should happen. Reverend Jackson and others have stood up for her as well.
Yeah.
But again, it just shows you just how trifling they are in Chicago. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. Calling all HBCU alumni, students, and leaders, enter the Ford Motor Company HBCU Mobility Challenge and win $25,000 for your school. Building on their long-term support of HBCUs, Ford is looking to improve mobility in HBCU communities through innovative solutions. The winning program will receive a grant of up to $25,000 to implement their proposal. The deadline to apply has been extended to April 15th, 2019. Go to this website, fgb.life, for more information and to apply. forward goes further in our community. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.